Alright, now what we're going to learn is how to make super high-res textures for Mudbox to use as brushes. If you page over the top of any one of these brushes, it will tell you where it is on your hard drive. In this case, they are all located within the Mudbox stamps directory. So if you were to go there, and let's say open one of these up in Photoshop, you would learn that a lot from it. One, at a glance, you're just looking at a standard Photoshop file. It's with one layer. There's no channels for the alpha or anything like that. It's just run off the actual transparency. You'll see the size. The size is 512 by 512. And you'll also note that the 16 exists. That's a 16-bit alpha or 16-bit file. Alright, so if you know all those and you see those and you duplicate those, you can make any brush in the world based upon a texture. Here's a texture. So visuallyinsane.org/photoshoots/album/texture pack1. These are textures I took using a 100mm macro lens at dawn, and they are really high res. Of course, you can go out to Google and search for the 5550 to 3676 range too if you wanted to. So any texture will work. This one I want to use because it's got, well, a lot of high res and it's very steel-like. It's perfect. So I'm going to copy that, and I know that they're using 512 by 512. That's cool and all. I respect that, but me being a huge nerd, I really want 2048 by 2048, and I got a really good machine, so I figured that why not use it. Now if you have a slower machine, 2048 is going to be slow. I would drop it down to 1024 by 1024. 512 is a little underkill. I don't want to use that. So I'll paste this in and then resize it. I'm going to put it in the center of the actual palette, and then I'm going to trim around the outside edge using an eraser and chalk. And in chalk I go to Window, Brush, Shape Dynamics, and put up Angle Jitter all the way up. This will make a random outside cut, and I can just simply go like this. And what I want to do is eliminate anything that might be a straight edge and keep it as round as I can. Now if I don't do this right, it'll have a darker spot here and a lighter spot here, and it'll give it away. I want it to unify the actual shadow on it. So I think it's not really a shadow, it's just the fact that it's darker over here and lighter over here. I need it to be the same. Okay, well, I can use dodge and I can use midtones to flatten out the color. And if I put this in this very center, it'll have darker on the outside edge. I don't want that to happen. I want it to be absolutely flat all the way around. So I have to make my brush as big as the picture, then click a couple times, and that should work. If I need to test it, I can always hold Alt, click and drag, and you'll see that, yeah, it's still darker around the outside edge. Okay, so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll play around with this for a little bit. And try to get the exposure down a little bit so it's not so harsh of a change. And I'll just do that, and then move it around. I see it over here. So I'm doing it until it blends in perfectly. There we go. So now I have this chunk that no matter where I put it, it's going to blend in. And the one below it was just a way of gauging it. I can get rid of this one, and I can try out my workflow again. This time you can see that it blends in quite nicely. If there's anything that just gives it away, just take a few seconds, do it again, until everything's fixed. The more times you do it, you just got to be careful, because sooner or later you'll overblow your texture, so you don't want that to happen. Cool. Delete the one before it, test it again and again and again until you're absolutely happy with it. Yep, that works. Cool. Get rid of that one. Now what we have to do is get rid of the background. Make sure this is 8-bit, and I should have did that to begin with, because I could have took advantage of the 8-bit channel a little bit more. It has a little bit more color variation in it, so when I went to dodge it, it wouldn't hurt the texture at all. Oh well. And then I'm going to save it on my hard drive. I have to save it on my desktop. It won't let me save it inside the actual Mudbox directory without changing the attributes on it to writable. So I don't want to do that for the video, because if you're a student, you're maybe on a school machine, and I don't want to do that. So steal copy. I'm going to disallow layers, save as a copy. And here I want to save transparency. Okay, so let's go to Mudbox and see what we can do with it. I'm going to delete my old one. And you can see the one I did before, it has these black marks, and that's what was giving it away. I'm going to add the stamp, load the new copy, and start painting with it. I'll have to click on it. And it still has some kind of little bit of variance to it. It's weird. Take off the stamp spacing. Wow. Turn back on the stamp spacing. Turn off randomize. There we go. That's better. Yep, that's perfect. See, you can barely see any kind of problems occurring when you're using it as a brush. So that's what you want. You want it to blend in, and you be able to use it at any size. Let's say I was using it at this size. That's a little bit too small, but still, if you zoom in, it doesn't look that bad. Alright, so that's how you make a custom brush out of a texture from the internet. So now that we have this, let's see what we can do with it on our parts.